Hello and welcome to tutorial 28. Today we're going to be looking at the Lucky Man solo from ELP. We're going to be looking at a track called I Got You by Split Enz and the famous Who track, Baba O'Reilly. In the first demonstration here today, in creating the Lucky Man sound, Keith Emerson originally used a modular Moog synthesizer, and I believe that this was the first that he'd come across the modular Moog, and it was delivered to the studio as they were recording the session for Lucky Man, and I think Keith Emerson did it in one take. So we're going to recreate that today. Okay, we're going to start off with an initial setting, and we've got one oscillator on the go there. We want oscillator number 1 to be an 8-foot pitch, pulse waveform, and just slightly off square. There we are, a bit raspier than a square wave. Oscillator 2, 8-foot wave, 8-foot pitch should I say, and pulse waveform, and the pulse width of this one is going to be 67. Whoops, I'm detuning it there. What pulse width? 67. So again, a bit of a reedier sound on that one. And on oscillator 3, 8-foot pitch, pulse waveform, pulse width 49. Because we need to switch that in as well. Need a bit of detune on that one, so oscillator 1 detune minus 15, and oscillator 2 detune plus 8. So we've got that phasing sound there. We need this to be in mono, so switch the mono switch. We need some glide in there as well, and the glide is another name for portamento, which has a rise or fall between the two notes that are played. So the value of that is 43. That's it. And then we're going to go to the filter section, and we're using a 24 dB slope low pass filter. We need that value to be about 100. There we are. We're going to include some resonance in that, so although we've dulled it down a little bit, the resonance is going to brighten it back up again, and a resonance value of 25. That's good. Key track 74. And we don't actually need any filter envelope on this one, so we're going to move on to the amplifier envelope. And a little bit fade in there. 49, attack 49, and release 64. This is going to give a slight ambience to the sound. And to complete the ambience, we just need a bit of reverb in there. And the reverb time 64. It's a medium sort of setting, level 64 as well. So let's now hear that sound. Okay, now we're going to recreate the sound used by Split Enz on I Got You. And this was another request from one of our viewers. So I'm going to start off with an initial setting. There we go, yeah, initial setting. And because we're going to sync oscillators 2 and 3 together, we're not going to bother with oscillator 1. So we'll take that out, put oscillator 2 in, and oscillator 2 is an 8-foot pitch, pulse waveform, pulse width 87. And we're also going to use oscillator 3 on the same setting, except this is now going to be 16 foot. Pulse width 87. And we're going to sync the two together. Although you won't hear very much difference in the sound now, we are going to do something else. We're going to have one of the LFOs modulate the pitch of oscillator 2. So if I did move the pitch of oscillator 2, you can hear it scrolling through the semitones to provide different characters of sound. So on LFO 1, we also need a mono button switched in, so mono there. LFO 1, we're going to use the ramp setting, which is a little bit like a very simple ADSR or envelope generator, and we're going to apply that to oscillators 1 and 2, being careful not to apply it to oscillator 3 because that's going to alter the pitch. On there we need speed 45. There we are. And now you'll hear the depth coming in, depth 37. Now that provides a pitch bend over time which changes the harmonic content of the waveform over time. Also, using the LFO section, we're going to create a little bit of wobble. So LFO 2 on a sine wave applied to, well, we can apply it to all oscillators because that's the easiest option on here. And we want speed 51. There we are. And depth 9. If I increase the depth a bit more, it's just giving us a bit of wild vibrato, but we need a subtle amount of vibrato there. That's it. And we're now going to go to the filter section, where we've got a 24 dB slope on a low pass filter, filter cutoff 67. There we are, resonance 38. And we're going to get the filter envelope to do something similar to the ramp waveform that we used before. Attack 0, decay 83, sustain and release 0, but amount 32. Now that's quite a percussive sound, but we're going to soften the percussive sound by altering the attack of the amplifier envelope to 77. That's quite a slow attack. There we are, and release 0. Going to add a bit of reverb in with that, just a general reverb, 64 there and 64 there. So that's kind of the basic sound for the track. I'll now play the 4 notes that are in the verse section. Okay, this is Pete Townsend creation of Baba O'Reilly, reproduced on the Studiologic Sledge. There are certain elements of this which seem to be repeated, so I've done a repeated thing, and then I've also played in the twiddly bit on the top. Okay, and I think Pete Townsend probably did all the twiddly bits live, but he may have started, just like I did, with the basic setting. So let's have a look at the basic setting. We're going to start with the initial setting, and we need oscillator 1 on an 8-foot pitch, pulse waveform, pulse width 89. This is a kind of a hollow, reedy sound. 89. Oscillator 2, pulse width 84. Oscillator 3, pulse width 91. 8-foot pitch. Oh, in fact, this is a 4-foot pitch, so we're getting that kind of octave divide there between them. And at the moment, we're going to see what happens with our low-pass filter, but we're going to change that in a second to a band pass. So, low-pass filter at the moment, 85. There we are. Resonance 39. Key track 94. Now that doesn't sound quite thin enough for the sound that's on Baba O'Reilly, so we're going to check this out. Low pass filter, high pass filter, band pass filter. That's the one we want for the track. So we're going to alter then the filter envelope, attack 0, decay 29, so quite a short decay. Sustain 0, release 0, but a very, very small amount of 1. That just gives a little edge to the sound, just a tiny little edge to the sound. And the amplifier envelope, attack 0, decay 54, sustain 0, release 49. Now, just by applying the amplifier envelope, you can hear now that that's the kind of plucky sound that's used in the track. But there's a kind of a delay on there as well, so we've got delay, not reverb, delay 47. 47 and level 60. Now that balances with a speed of 120 beats per minute, but we're going to get the 120 beats per minute from the arpeggiator. So we'll switch the arpeggiator on, and at the moment the mode is off, so we want to switch that to on. As we scroll down, tempo 120. As we scroll down, the direction setting comes up, so we want the direction to be up, alt up, alternate up and down, that is, and the range is 1 octave, and that should be just right for the track, so we'll play that a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to play along with the track the little twiddly bit, so I need to put the mode to off, and so let's hear that with the track.